Very good morning and welcome to Le Mans. Here we are for a very special round of the Ferrari Challenge. We were here a couple of years ago and we're back once again for another exciting round of the challenge, but to take place on this incredible 13.6 kilometer circuit as part of the incredible Le Mans 24-hour weekend. Alongside me, I'm delighted to welcome back former podium placer in the last time the Ferrari Challenge were here at Le Mans, and now racing in the 24-hour race in just a few hours' time. Howard Blank, welcome back.
It's a pleasure to be here. Absolutely. A great pleasure to be here with you again, Dave, and to see all my friends who are still doing the challenge.
Well, I have to say, you don't look as nervous as I thought you might with the big 24-hour race to come for you this afternoon. But, of course, for us now, we're going to be talking about the Ferrari Challenge as we see the big wheel on screen, such a focal part of the Le Mans weekend as all the spectators are here. Now, to let you know, just before the race gets underway, we had quite a shower and the track conditions are damp. It has stopped raining at the moment, but we are given the information from our friends in the pit lane that all the cars are going to be going out on wet weather tyres. No surprise there. And Howard, you made the point that, you know, a dry line, the racing line, may become dry, but the minute you put a wheel offline, you're in trouble. Yeah, absolutely. So
it's a bit dangerous.
It is a bit dangerous. Yeah.
You'll slide around a bit.
So all the guys are going to be out now. This particular race of the Ferrari Challenge does feature a pit stop, mandatory pit stop. That allows the two driver cars to change drivers, and it's a mandatory 60-second pit stop for those that are only driving one car. Also unique to this particular Le Mans race is the fact that we put the two categories of the Ferrari Challenge together, that being the TropheoPirelli drivers and also the Copa Shell drivers, all in the mix together. And it has to be said, because it's Le Mans, the entry list is somewhat expanded. Everyone wants to be part of it, don't they? Here is the circuit location then. More information as always at corsaclienti.ferrari.com. It is Le Mans. It is the weekend in June that is famed throughout the land, and the Ferrari Challenge is very much part of it. Not too many takers on the big wheel this morning, Howard. Okay, well, this circuit is unique. 13.6 kilometers. Philip Barron gives us a run around the Le Mans circuit in his 458 Challenge car. Let's do it.
So here we are at the 24-hour circuit of Le Mans on the start and finish line. We are heading now to the first downhill
Well, we were
corner,
hoping we were going to have Philippe Barron talking to us about this lap as he did it, but at the moment we've got no sound. So Howard Blank, it's a cockpit view. You're used to this.
He's coming up to the Dunlop curve. He's going to start braking here, drop down into probably third gear in the challenge, coming across that little bit of chicane, flat out here. Heading down towards eventually Teatro Rouge. He's still flat out. There's the cord, the apex.
Down here to the
little braking here, coming to the left. Staying as left as possible to be able to come as straight out as possible. A little bit of brake before coming into Teatro Rouge so he doesn't slide off the track.
So it's only a little bit of brake, is it? I thought that would be a heavy brake.
No, that's just a little bit of brake there. And here he's flat out and heading towards the first chicane. At the moment he's on what we in English call the Mulsanne Straight. Everybody else in French calls it the Hundière. And he's coming up to the first chicane. Probably at top speed, braking at, I would say, 150, because he has ABS, and doing probably 310 kilometers an hour there.
Well, the graphics on the right-hand side of your screen gives you an indication from the telemetry that we have on the car of what we're at and what gear we're in through last chicane. I've never known it as that, to be honest, but there we are. We both learned something, don't we? And now back onto this straight, which is so powerful.
Exactly, and he's working his way up into 7th gear. It's just sitting there and not being nervous and being able to take full advantage of the car.
So you can see down the Mulsanne Straight then, this is so quick, and from our point of view, from my point of view, to look at this, scary.
Well, you're not supposed to be scared.
No.
If you're scared, you shouldn't be there.
No.
Though you need to be a little bit, how should I put it? Pay attention.
Cautious.
Cautious, thank you.
No problem. I guess that's why I'm talking about it and not actually out there driving like you, Howard, because that would frighten me. Okay, the Mulsanne Kink then,
the Mulsanne Kink, and that's about, like on the screen it's 285. Slow brake, well, braking into here, wheel straight, hard braking into the Mulsanne curve, which is slightly more than 90 degrees, and then heading down another, what doesn't look like a straight, but actually it is considered a straight. Again, his foot is on the floor. The pedal to the metal, as they say, heading down towards Indianapolis. And keeping away from the curbs if it's a little bit wet.
Now, last time the Ferraris were here at Indianapolis, we saw Dennis Anderson. His car got a puncture and, of course, ended up flipping, Howard.
Correct. His rear left, I think it was.
We start here braking at 180 meters.
Had a bit of a puncture, and it let some air underneath the car. You should say that the Ferrari Challenge cars don't have a lot of aerodynamics. There's no wing on the back, and so it's a bit more difficult. Hard right-hand turn here, hard braking.
This is on Arch.
Arch, exactly right. And now it's again flat out heading towards the Porsche curves.
So we're on board with Philippe Barron then, as he takes us around this unique Le Mans circuit here.
Yeah, very slippery and very difficult to get. So you come down the hill here,
light braking here
down to fifth gear, trying to stay at the inside line because
heading up into the Porsche curves. This is the first one, flat out again. You should still be flat out,
on the curb,
heading up, trying to get some space, diving down, a little bit of tap on the brakes just here at the apex. Again, trying to get some speed, slight brake just to the left here, otherwise you end up in the wall, and that's not good. And again, now he's flat out.
On the curb and out.
And what he did there, he went a little bit off the little bit offline, and there are some bumps there. I don't know how else to put it.
But this time I missed it, unfortunately.
Cuts in the road, and they're not good for the car. Definitely not good for the car. He's going up to the start-finish line.
Now, Philippe there is, to be fair, quite an aggressive driver. He took more curb than I expected to see him take over some of those turns.
You need to take curve, and I think his time was, what, 4:08?
I mean, he was certainly
fast.
quick.
It's a fast lap.
4:07.036 was the best time that Philippe Barron set in his quali session. He was eclipsed, to be fair, by some measure by Stefano Guy. Stefano, of course, hugely experienced driver, but Philippe Barron, we should remember, last time we were here at Le Mans, just a couple of years ago, became the Ferrari Challenge Le Mans champion, didn't he? He took the win.
And he's a great driver.
Yes, he is. As we see the cars there lined up, ready to get out on the track, and Stefano Guy there that we were just talking about saw his car just momentarily in his big grid of 458s, ready to get out on the track and contest this Ferrari Challenge race here at Le Mans. Well, the anticipation and the excitement and the butterflies in the stomach will be going through the drivers right now, won't it, Howard? As they're, it's a big gig for them, isn't it?
It's a big gig. It's an important gig. The other issue, however, is that you don't get an awful lot of time to practice here. This isn't a track that's open all year. You can't come here 2 or 3 times during the year, 4 times during the year. And the amount of time that's available, and whether we're talking about the challenge or even whether we're talking about the Mans race, each lap is significantly more than 4 minutes.
Yes.
And you have an out lap. You're trying to do some telemetry. You're trying to do some fast laps. You've got an in lap. It eats up time. You don't go through the corners an awful lot. In that sense, it's different in that it makes it a bit more difficult for the drivers.
Okay, you're absolutely right. Well, we'll be getting the cars out and onto grid in a couple of moments' time. Now, you'll have heard me mention that Stefano Guy was the quickest and Philippe Barron was second quickest in quali. That won't necessarily be reflected on the grid, and the reason for that is that your success in the previous Ferrari Challenge rounds mean you do get handicapped in later rounds. So the likes of Stefano Guy is going to be back down there on P5. Philippe Barron is going to be on P4 because both of those drivers are taking a grid penalty effectively, so that means that the front row of the grid is very interesting because we've got Jeff Segal, the North American driver from Ferrari Challenge, and alongside Jeff Segal will be the Team Ukraine driver Sergei Chukhanov. So the familiar blue and yellow colours of the Team Ukraine Ferrari Challenge contestants right at the front, on the front row of the grid. So that's going to be very, very exciting indeed. But Jeff Segal certainly very quick in quali. He ended up with a P3 place of 4:07.451. But because of those penalties that are applied retrospectively, that means that Guy and Baron, the two quickest, to go back on the grid order. Giacomo Strata is going to be on P3. He's always a lively contender. Then we see Benedetto Marti, Alex Martin, good showing from Alex Martin. And Dario Carso, where he's leading the championship, the TropheoPirelli championship.
Is he really?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Fantastic.
I shouldn't sound surprised by that, but I'm delighted for Dario.
Has he calmed down a bit this year?
He has a bit. He has a bit, but he's one of the more delightful characters. They're all delightful, but he especially really characterful in the paddock. Doesn't speak too many words of English, so the conversations we tend to have are by sign language. Yes, Dario, a great guy, and actually from the fourth row of the grid, could do something from there maybe.
Well, he certainly has a possibility. It's going to be interesting because it obviously is going to be officially a wet race, and
yes.
I don't expect the track to dry significantly between now and the end of the race.
So? Okay. Because I know off air, Howard, you and I were speaking about you know, the conditions. It has stopped raining. Yes, okay, and I accept what you say that a dry line may begin to develop, but it's the danger of being offline, as we see. What a fantastic shot that is of Giancarlo Fisichella in the middle there as well, and all the Ferrari Corsa client here, Stefano Guy, took rather longer than he needed to wave, show off.
And Dario just next to him.
Yes. So they're the cars. Basically, what were we waiting for? Well, we're waiting for the...
waiting for the track to clear.
We are waiting for the track to clear. From our comms booth that we're blessed with, I think that's a load of Aston Martins going around at the moment, but that's more of a display than any. We've had the historic race on before us, which has to be said was full of incident.
And if you look at those cars, if you saw all of those cars participated in the Le Mans race.
Yes,
and,
yes, of course.
And there were some, I wouldn't even use the term modern cars, but certainly there were some newer cars, but there were cars that went back into the 30s. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic.
And the cars all out there, and as you say, they were all competitors here at Le Mans. So eager Ferrari fans then we saw there in shot as they're awaiting this Ferrari Challenge race here at the Le Mans circuit as part of the build-up to the Le Mans 24-hour race. And it's Jeff Segal on pole position that's going to be leading those cars away. Now, you're seeing on screen what we were seeing through our comms booth, which is actually just to the bottom of the track that you can see on the screen there, or just to the top of it, and around the corner there. That's where we're situated. Great sighting.
We've got a great view here. We're on top of the chicanes, just before the start straight, the stands. It's a great position to be in.
Okay, let's take you through the grid then. Here it is. Jeff Segal then on pole. Alongside him is Sergei Chukhanov. Then we see Giacomo Strata and Philippe Baron. Then it's Stefano Guy, Benedetto Marti, Alex Martin and Dario Carso then are on row 4. That's going to be an interesting row to watch from the start, that's for sure.
Especially going into the Dunlop chicane.
Yes. Then we see Jacques Diver and Estibniev on the next row of the grid. Then it's Studenik and Mackenzie, another driver that's made the long trip to be part here. Boris Rotenberg. Then Lorenzo Casse. Lorenzo, of course, also taking part in the 24-hour race. Then it's Saria and David Gosner. Is P16, Rizzuto and Rafael Giannoni, 17 and 18. Dirk Adamski then had some success this year in Copa-Shell, P19 with Alexis Di Bernardi alongside in P20, the Luxembourg driver. Vincenzo Sauto, who's also had some success this year, 64 years of age. Eric Prenot, his former teammate, alongside. Then it's Hrubesch and Philippe Barreros, Socio Del Pret and Galassi. Then it's Mehi and Roger Eder. Roger Eder driving for the Garage Foytech team. As we continue down this big grid, Kukuka and Andre Lebed. Then we see the Shark's Teeth of von Skeltemar, P31. Eric Chung, then good friend in P32. Then it's Tommy Lindroth and Rick Love at 33-34. Stovicek is P35 with the hat-wearing Daniel Quensley alongside. Then we see Diamato and Rupert Martin on row 19. Oscar Hernandez alongside. Holger Langer is on row 21 with Scheider alongside with Max Bianchi and Daniel Mancinelli right at the back of the grid. And you're thinking, Bianchi and Mancinelli, why are they right at the back of the grid? Allow me to put some meat on the bones of that story for you. Bianchi it was then that had a... make sure I get my facts absolutely right here. Bianchi had a fuel line split which caused a small fire in quali, and Mancinelli, well, he ended up in the wall.
That's not a good place to be.
No. Now, they are two very, very quick drivers, but sadly,
there's a lot of cars in front.
They've got an awful lot of cars to get through. So, our apologies for the slight delay whilst the display continues here. You're looking at the lineup then of the cars ready to get out onto grid. So yes, Mancinelli and Max Bianchi then with a lot of work to do from the back of the pack. Pit lane window is going to open at 10 minutes duration into the race and will close at 35 minutes duration. There is a 60-second mandatory pit stop for those drivers that are running a two-driver car, of which there are perhaps half a dozen, maybe 7 or 8 of those. As we get a great heli shot of Le Mans here. And now at last we see some movement. Mark McKenzie we saw there. There's David Gosner, and it was Carlos Serria. And there you can see being led by the safety car. That last we see the Ferrari Challenge cars out here on track. There's Dario Carso and Alex Martin right behind. The wipes are still going. I'm just beginning to wonder if it is now beginning to drizzle once again, Howard. From our position here, it doesn't look like it. But of course,
the cars are going to be picking up some spray from the car in front, so it's difficult to tell at this point whether it's raining or it's just a bit of spray. So they're not going that fast, but the wet tires will throw up some the car.
Of course, the whole purpose of the wet weather tires is to dissipate the water, isn't it?
Correct.
So inevitably that will happen. Okay, so the grid begins to form then ahead of the formation with Segal and Chukhanov. There is Stefano Guy then, who's starting from P5. Very much a danger man, I would think, from there. Would love to take the win here at Le Mans. There's David Gosner.
Who wouldn't?
No, of course. Who wouldn't? There's no one out there thinking, oh, I'd just quite like to finish, really. Not bothered about the win. Yeah, right.
No. Just finishing, frankly, is very important. The difference between this race, the challenge race, and the 24-hour race, this is a sprint.
Yes.
And you really need to be flat out for the full 45 minutes. The 24-hour race, it's an endurance race, and it's not necessarily the fastest who wins.
There's Eric Prenot that we saw there with the Dayglow yellow part colouring on his car, and from our comms booth window we can look directly at his car on the grid. Eric Prenot, I was just having a chat with him before I made a way down here to the comms booth, and he's in fine fettle. He had a bit of bad luck in Brno at a previous round with a gearbox problem, which caused his car to fail when he was challenging his former teammate Enzo Sauto for the lead, which is a shame. Still managed to finish the race, but lost a couple of gears, and that meant that he wasn't able to challenge for the win that he would have liked to have taken. This is an enormous grid, Howard Blank.
40, how many cars? 42?
Do you know what? I've not actually done the calculation, but it's a lot of cars.
Well, it's not as many as the race that starts at 3 this afternoon.
No, I agree. It's not. No, I agree.
And the mix is a little bit different as well. All of these cars are basically the same.
Yes. And to explain, if you're new to the Ferrari Challenge, we have 2 categories of cars racing. We have the TropheoPirelli drivers, and we have the Copa Shell drivers. So it's a real mix of semi-pro drivers and also gentleman drivers in there as well.
Which is where I was 2 years ago in the Ferrari 430.
Yes.
In my first year of racing, it was great. It was great to finish. It was great to have a podium finish.
You got a podium in the 430,
and that's all thanks to Corsa Cliente and the driving in Fiorano.
Yes.
The lessons that I took down there was obviously it worked.
Yes, invaluable. Many people have said, you know, the training is absolutely invaluable. Okay, we saw just a few moments ago images then of our pole-sitting driver, Jeff Segal. He's raced in the Grand Am Rolex Series in GT category, won that in 2012, and has raced in that since 2008, and is racing in the North American Series of the Ferrari Challenge. Alongside him then is Sergei Chukhanov from Team Ukraine, a former Formula 3 champion.
That's Eric Chung's wife on the right.
Ah. And just saw the front of that is Mrs. Chung, isn't it?
Mrs. Chung,
I don't
absolutely.
know a Christian name, to be honest. Disappointing. Yes, Sergei Chukhanov, lots of single-seater experience before coming into GT racing. And look at this, the car, and I know relative to the Le Mans 24-hour grid, but you know, the car's stretching all the way back. In fact, as we look out of our comms booth window, which is beyond the extent to which you can see on camera there, we're still looking at cars lining up here.
Oh, and they're going to continue to line up. And I think that there may even be a couple cars that are going to be starting technically, well, when the light goes green, they'll be just either coming out of or still inside the chicane.
Okay. So cars being pushed into position. Stovacek we saw there in the black car. There's David Gostner then in car number 160. Just ahead of him is Lorenzo Cassé then in car number 6. The white car with the blue stripe down the bonnet and the roof. Now Lorenzo Cassé will be taking part in the Le Mans 24-hour race a little bit later today. So what a warm-up he's got, a Ferrari Challenge race to do. And we can see all the teams here. Now, the paddock for the Ferrari Challenge is some distance away, it has to be said. And all the teams then, well, they're coming past us on their quad bikes with tyres, mix of wets and slicks on some of those trolleys.
But there's always the mix on the trolleys.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah, you're not going to give me any... I'm still convinced that some will opt to run on slicks at the pit stop, but I might be wrong.
Well, you may be right. It's certainly going to be probably going to be possible. The line will probably have dried out enough at that point, but there is the risk that if you get offline with slicks, where it's a bit humid, it's like being on a skating rink.
Yeah, you're going to be in trouble, aren't you?
We had the experience last night.
Now you can see just at the top of your screen, or you could see that line of quads and the tyres being delivered to the pit lane, and the coaches, all the support staff, bringing all the support staff.
Safety bus.
Safety bus, yes. There's Fons Skeltermar then, the familiar shark's teeth of the Kessel racing driver, the Netherlands-based Fons Skeltermar. As we go down the grid, Giacomo Strata there in car number 21. And ahead of him then is our pole sitter, Jeff Segal. There is the Ferrari Challenge safety car, and there's still some work going on down there in the grid with some doors still open. Chukhanov then alongside in P2. And it is a fantastic sight to see all these Ferrari Challenge cars here at Le Mans, ready to do battle on this 13.6 kilometer circuit. We're late getting this race underway, that's for sure. Jeff Segal then. But as the grid will clear of personnel, hopefully, we've got a...
Somebody's working on a tire over there on the front wheel.
Yeah, we've got a green flag being waved now from the rostrum, and the safety car leads these Ferrari Challenge cars away then. So weaving from side to side, well, we expect that at the start now. We're told that every one of those cars has gone out on wet weather tyres.
In which they're trying to get up to the right temperature at this point.
And of course, they'll get them up. You know, they'll get them up to the right temperature. Then to make a wet weather tire work correctly, Howard Blank, you know, if a dry line does develop, you're going to need to try and keep that tire cool.
That's correct.
Because it doesn't work terribly well if it's overheated.
That's correct. It needs to be. It needs to have water. It needs to be on a wet race. It needs to be on the line that has water. And if it dries up, they're going to lose time, or they're going to look for places to cool down the tire, especially on the straight.
Now, it has to be said, you know, with a 13.6 kilometre circuit, what we're seeing there at the start finish and through the Dunlop chicane and up towards Tetra Rouge, you know, other parts of the circuit could be very, very different conditionally, couldn't they?
And we've had it where it was raining at Mulsanne and it was dry in the pits.
Yes.
Nobody really knew what tires they should put on, but at the end, if it's wet someplace,
yeah,
you put on wet tires, whether they're intermediates or full wets. Any part of the track that's wet, it just doesn't make sense to do anything else.
No. There is our points leader then, Dario Carzo, who just was dissolved there in the back of that shot. Really aggressive weaving from Philippe Baron from the Octane 126 team. Having a chat with the...
you can see that it started to dry.
Yes.
You can see the difference between the wet and the dry.
Yeah, into that.
But you can also see if you miss your braking point and you end up on the slightly more humid part of the track.
Yes.
You could end up in slightly more vertical rubber walls.
Yes, you don't want to do that. I was just mentioning there, talking to the director of the Octane 126 team yesterday. Very exciting projects that they're working on and really enjoying their time in the Ferrari Challenge as well. So, and there again, you know, as we look at that low-down camera shot, Howard, you're absolutely right. You can see the dry line there that is beginning to develop, but you're right. The minute you go off that, if you're not on the shot on the right rubber, you are going to be in trouble, as we see Eric Prinot there just going through. The safety car continues to lead them away, and this is effectively a huge formation lap, Howard.
It is very large. I think I counted 46 or 45 cars that are participating today. And I don't think they're going to warm up the tires too much more than they have at the moment, because there is part of the dry line which is going to warm up their tires, so they're going to have to move over to the damper part of the track.
Then to cool them.
To cool them. So it's going to be difficult. It's really going to be a difficult race for these guys.
Okay, there's Dario Carzo going through. Dario Carzo followed there by Jacques Diver. There is Jacques then in the all-black car. There's Alex Martin, the Dextra colours across the front of his car. As the rest of the pack come on through here, we're on the formation lap for the Ferrari Challenge, about to get that underway here at Le Mans. Still to come, we're off to Portimao next in Portugal.
Great track.
Great track.
I love Portimao.
Having already been to Bueno in the Czech Republic, and of course the traditional season opener at Monza.
And also here, this heading down towards Indianapolis.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trees, a lot of humidity stays on the track, stays in the area, and it can be difficult. It can be difficult. This part of the track is heading into the Mulsanne curve, which obviously it's very famous, but it's also a very difficult part of the track. And if you get it wrong, you're into the gravel, and if you're even wronger, you're into the wall.
Now it's here.
Fisichella had his problem last year.
Yeah, and it's here.
His car and still won.
Yes, it's here where I can remember a former Ferrari Challenge competitor, Dennis Anderson, with his car lifting up.
That was further down. This is Mulsanne. Now they're on the. They should be on the straight heading down towards Indianapolis, and you should get a good shot of them coming into Indianapolis.
Yeah, and it was just off out the back of Indianapolis, I think, wasn't it, where Dennis Anderson lost that.
Correct.
Lost his car. Absolutely flipped, because as you mentioned, you've got an awful lot of downforce on these cars, you know, and with a tyre deflating, it was just enough to let some air get under it. The car lifted up.
And came back down again.
And came back down again, but thankfully
didn't flip over.
No, the integrity of the 458 meant Dennis was absolutely fine. The car was
no problem.
A little bit used, it has to be said.
That's the Arnage curve. A little bit more than 90 degrees. Again, it's probably in second gear. You need to be careful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you slide off to the side. the difficulty, or one of the difficulties with Le Mans is the fact that there's not a lot of room on either side of the track.
No.
These are roads, state roads.
Yes.
And guardrails, and you need to be careful. If you make a mistake, it's relatively unforgiving.
Yes.
Heading into the Porsche curves.
So we're beginning to reach the conclusion of this formation lap, and the race will be underway, a 45-minute race for the Ferrari Challenge. Both TropheoPirelli and Copa categories of driver together here in one huge race as a support to the Le Mans 24-hour. And, well, best lap times in quali were in the order of 4:07, but Stefano Guy, who we look at going through just there, pulled a big one out of the bag, nearly a second and a half quicker than Philippe Baron of 4:05.962. So expecting good things from Stefano Guy.
And they're starting to form up now because they're heading towards the start-finish.
I
can tell you, sitting in the car at that point, at that position, it's an incredible feeling.
Yes.
You still get to see the crowds. There's hundreds of thousands of people here.
Yes.
It is unbelievable. Truly an extremely emotional experience, but you need to concentrate on the drive.
Well, it's going to be fierce. It's going to be fraught, I'm sure. As we saw there you can see the guys in the safety car making sure that the cars grid up in the correct order. And once the race steward and the safety car are happy with the way the grid is looking, then the cars will be pulling off.
I think he was showing the same indication that he's going to be pulling off after the second chicane.
Now we've got cars diving into the pit lane already. Alex Martin is one of those. So
they may be going on to slicks already.
Alexis Di Bernardi is one that's coming into the pits as well. So the safety car is coming in. The race is going to get underway. An awful lot of cars are in the pit lane. They're going to swap over onto slick tyres. So here we go then. We get a green and we go away and racing. It is the Ferrari Challenge here at Le Mans. The clock counts down and it's Jeff Segal then from pole position. But he is under pressure from Sergei Chukhanov then. And taking the long way around the outside here. Let's just hope all these cars get away safely as we go into the first turn here. It is Segal that's leading. A number of cars are diving into the pit lane, and we've seen, I think that was Eric Prinot that's had an off. Distinctive colour scheme on Eric Prinot's car. Able to identify that quite easily, but already up into P2 is Philippe Baron, and challenging for the lead right now, Howard Blank. Philippe Baron, the Ferrari Challenge Le Mans champion, he won it last time out here, already is in the lead in the space of just 3 or 4 corners.
No, he took the perfect line on all of them, and just, I don't even want to say close the door, he was in the right place at the right time, and he just had the line.
So,
and the grip.
And the grip. So he is away and leading this race. Then it is Philippe Baron from Jeff Segal. Then it's Chukhanov who's down into 3rd place, and he's going to be challenged by Stefano Guy. There's Giacomo Strata. As we see, that looked like a piece of panel work off. Or was that a mirror, perhaps? Giacomo Strata then goes for a move.
I think there was some contact back at Dunlop.
Strata wasn't able to make that stick. He ran wide and went off the circuit there. Now, Stefano Guy is currently there in P4. There is the debris that we saw flying off a car. So there is our race leader, Philippe Baron, who's already built up a bit of a time. Dario Carzo just taking a look at the outside of Benedetto Marti. So Giacomo Strata has got past Marti. But now Strata again, just unable to hold on to the power in certain turns there, Howard. Really? And he's wrestling with that car.
Oh, absolutely, but the back on these cars is really nice. You need to slide a little bit to get the car into position for the next curve.
He's being sandwiched.
This is fantastic.
Absolutely being sandwiched. Giacomo Strata in the middle, Dario Carzo then down the inside. Dario Carzo, who leads the championship at the moment. A remarkable move there where we saw cars 3 abreast. Absolutely fantastic racing from the Ferrari Challenge. Philippe Barron, Jeff Segal, then it's Chukhanov in 3rd place. And that's an off.
I can't see who that is.
No, I couldn't either. There's our race leader going through, Philippe Barron.
Barron's out in front. Going into to the Mulsanne curve, it was who was going to be chicken, who was going to break first or last for that matter.
Well, Philippe Barron absolutely determined to retain that trophy of and the honour, if you like, of winning the Le Mans the last time the Ferrari Challenge were here. He, from the second row of the grid, has made sure. You see Dirk Adamski there in the Autohaus Sergio 199 car.
All these cars are basically the same power, so any place that they're going to be able to pass it's going to be passing on the curves, how late they can brake, how well they can hold, how soon they can get onto the power, and that's where the race is going to be won or lost for that matter. Stefano Guy's got a bit of a lead in front of him at the moment, and it lets him drive at his pace and just keep I shouldn't say keep everybody at bay, but he's able to control his car and not have to worry about people.
That's Philippe Barron.
Sorry, Philippe Barron.
Who's leading the way. You're right, but yes, he is able now. He's building a comfort zone, isn't he?
Correct.
Now, earlier I called the fact that I thought Eric Prinot had gone around. I don't think it was Eric Prinot. Because he's showing on our timing screen as being down there in P12, and I don't think he'd have been able to turn it round that quickly. So here is our race leader then as he crosses the start-finish line, and it's going to be very interesting to see what he's built up in terms of a gap, a margin, a comfort zone over our second-place driver, but it is significant, really significant.
There's a big gap.
It is 11.197. That's incredible, isn't it?
And there are other drivers coming into the pit and probably are going to be changing tires.
Yeah, Lorenzo Cassé has pulled in. He's come into the pits. Also, Giacomo Strata. Now, Giacomo Strata we saw struggling to keep the car from whale-tailing, and he's going to go off wets and go on to slicks, which brave, I would have thought. But a number of cars have already come in and put those slick tyres on. We saw them dive in on the formation lap to change their tyres. Also coming in to change his tyres, we can see, is Oscar Hernandez, and so too is Rick Lovett. So a lot of cars, coming in early. There is a mandatory pit stop, which is the pit stop window opens in.
There are the slicks.
Yeah, there they are.
And it's a risk. I mean, it's obvious that the slicks will go faster as long as they're on a dry line and they can hold the line. I would say probably you're going to see more of the pro, semi-pro drivers. Pirelli who have the guts to do it.
Well, we will see how it develops over the course of the next 38 minutes or thereabouts. If we have this Ferrari Challenge race, then we're watching our second place driver at the moment, Jeff Segal, who's being chased by Sergei Chukhanov, who's at P3. Now there we saw Dario Carzo, I think in P4, having got past Stefano Guy, I think. As we watch Giacomo Strata in the pits there. Also in the pits then, as I mentioned, we saw him diving in, is Rick Lovett.
And you see them, you can see them sliding all over the place.
There is Chukhanov.
You really need to hold on there.
I want to stick with this shot. Oh, no, there is Carzo, Dario Carzo, and surely that's Guy behind him.
I agree.
And Chukhanov goes for an overtake now. This is Chukhanov trying to wrestle away. P2 from Jeff Segal, Sergei Chukhanov, the Team Ukraine driver. Whoa, this is brave, isn't it?
Mirror to mirror.
You can see the car just lock up under braking there of Jeff Segal.
But he had the line and he was able to keep his position.
Now, as you say, the cars are absolutely identical, aren't they, in terms of... look at Dario Carzo. He has got past Stefano Guy.
And he's being very aggressive out there. And as long as he can hold on to it, that's fine. You can see the shots that they're showing on the chicane are absolutely fantastic, because you can see them moving the car. They intentionally want to have the car slide a little bit, because it sets up the next corner, or the next line.
And talking of setting up, I just wonder, Chukhanov is sticking with Jeff Segal here in second place. Is Jeff Segal. Chukhanov is currently third. Great overhead shot there as we go further down the order. There is Dirk Adamski. Dirk Adamski now. And this is the battle for 7th position. Rizzuto then in P8, but Dirk Adamski, again, another driver that this year in the Ferrari Challenge has had some success in the Copa Shell. So Dirk Adamski looking very, very good there. In P7 at the moment, Rizzuto is P8, then it's David Gosner, P9, Eric Prinot now up to P10. So Adamski going to be under some pressure here, Howard. Rizzuto flashing his lights.
trying to destabilize his drive. And I'll tell you something, he's sitting in his car and he's saying, I'm not pretending any of this.
No, Dirk's not going to be affected by that, I suspect.
You're not going to get by me just by flashing your lights.
No, it's going to take more than that. Okay.
I think that was Giannoni coming into the pits.
No, that was our race leader, Philip Barron.
Oh.
That's Philip Barron. We've just seen through the window in our comms booth. We've seen Philip Barron, who had a gap of some 22 seconds, dive into the pits then to get rid of those wet weather tyres and go on to slicks. There we are. We're following him now. This is Philip Barron then from the Octane 126 team. Going to need a good stop from the team here to change those. And Chukhanov has got past. Chukhanov has got past, and so too has Rizzuto over Dirk Adamski now. So there is Philip Barron. He was our race leader. He had a comfort margin of some 22 seconds.
And they're taking an awful long time.
They are. Now I wonder whether there's another problem with that car, because they've got the wheel off and they're paying more attention to the rear axle there, Howard.
Exactly. There is a problem. I can't tell what it is, but they haven't changed the tires. He came in because of a mechanical problem, obviously. And
so
right rear.
We're watching our new race leader then for Team Ukraine. It's Sergei Chukhanov then, as he power slides that car through there, Howard. This is fantastic to watch. Jeff Segal doing the same. And there is the stricken Philip Barron car. Oh, this is such a shame. Did he push the car too hard in the opening lap? He's out of the car.
He's out.
Oh, well. Full of drama, as always, the Ferrari Challenge. Here's Dirk Adamski then. And Rizzuto has got past Dirk Adamski and has gone for it. And now the next on the order for Dirk Adamski to defend against is going to be David Gosner.
And they've now opened up the pit.
Jeff Segal is going for the lead here over Chukhanov. Now Chukhanov tried that move exactly a lap ago, didn't he? So Sergei Chukhanov leads this race then. Philip Barron, our early race leader, is out.
And the pit lane is now open for the compulsory pit stop.
Okay, so the mandatory pit stop, which has to be taken, the pit window is open now. It will stay open until 35-second duration. Oh, von Skeltermar. Now, that looks like that's been brought about by contact, perhaps. As we lose the entire back end of his car, and that's Eric Prinot with a puncture. The MPI Nico driver, Eric Prinot then. Here we go back with our race leader as we pick him up and pick up the battle between Ukraine and the USA at the moment in this Ferrari Challenge. It's Chukhanov leading. Then it is Jeff Segal. Bear in mind, Jeff Segal started from pole position. Sergei Chukhanov was alongside him, but both of them were eclipsed in the early stages of this race by Philip Barron. But Philip Barron's race is over. The car parked up in the pit lane. It is now between these two, right at the head of the pack. So Chukhanov defending.
Segal is pushing.
He is pushing. He's quicker, isn't he? But it's all very well being quicker, Howard. You've got to find a way past.
This is also true, but I have a feeling coming into Indianapolis, he's going to try and make a move.
Takes a look up the inside. And they really are so very close here at speeds that are frightening for me as a mere spectator, but for a driver, absolutely exhilarating racing. And it is Chukhanov that's leading, and Segal just took a look, didn't he? But
took a look. He was ready to go, but he had to brake, and he saw the car took a little shake on his braking. He just wasn't in position.
So again, Segal takes another look, and Chukhanov aware of this all the way through, of course. And now Chukhanov runs wide. That's surely enough for Segal.
And they're going to come down. It's a long straight before we get to the Porsche curve.
They are, well, they were absolutely side by side, but credit there to Chukhanov, Howard, who was able to rescue that.
Absolutely. Great job, and Seagal wasn't able to take advantage, but maybe here.
Oh, and you can see Chukhanov there just get a little bit sideways, and Seagal goes through. But is Chukhanov going to be? No, he's not going to be quite close enough to get him back. So it is now a change at the front. Seagal leads from Chukhanov. And Chukhanov really is sliding that car. I mean, he's using opposite lock, Howard, at speeds which are phenomenal. This is incredible stuff. Surely he's going to dive into the pits and get those tyres changed. As we see Eric Prinot, we saw him suffering from a puncture. He's been able to limp that Ineco MP car back into the pit lane as the team worked really, really hard there, changing those tyres.
And putting slicks on as well.
Yeah. So both Seagal and Chukhanov are coming in now. So it's going to be a battle in the pit lane then. I
think he missed the chicane.
That was a real offer, Seagal, there, wasn't it? Further down the order then, well, the racing is continuing, and see a spinner there. I think that's either Oliver Mayer or Peter Scheider. I think it was Oliver Mayer. As into the pits comes Jeff Seagal then.
That's also slow.
So they've got 60
seconds.
I'm just trying to understand the strategy here.
I don't. Are they having trouble lifting the car? Because they haven't put the jack on yet.
No, and the man right at the back of the car is where the air goes into the jacks, isn't it? There's Max Bianchi then. There's Giacomo Strata.
And I think his race is over.
It's a busy pit lane.
Driver change?
Yes, that's a driver change in the Kukuka car. It's Thomas Kukuka and Peter Vanko that share that car. Seem to be in a heck of a hurry to change those drivers. How they're in a bit of a chat there, weren't they?
It's a bit strange.
Right, there's Eric Prinot back out again.
We're going to have to wait until after the Seagal. Something seems to be a problem.
No, that's Gosner. That's David Gosner.
You can't tell the players without a scorecard.
But you're right. You're right. And here we've got a queue up in the pit lane because we've got the Vanko Kukuka car, and now in there is Jan Stovacek in the Scuderia Praha car. No Scheider.
Having a drink, having a little cocktail perhaps, just he's got his minute.
I think that was wrong, but there we are, right. So in the meantime then,
doesn't seem to be a lot of action at the moment.
No, it seemed really slow. Well, this has really changed the order, because now out there leading the race is Bianchi from Rizzuto. Then Alex Martin is in P3. Now you remember Alex Martin was one of those that came in very early on. In fact, off the back of the formation lap to change his tyres. So they're getting a wash and brush up is the Vanko Kukuka car. So Bianchi, Rizzuto, Martin, then it's McKenzie. And Martin now moves up to P2.
And the fastest lap is Lorenzo Cassé.
Lorenzo Cassé, who of course will be taking part in the 24-hour race in due course. A little bit later today. So fastest lap then, 4:11.336. Here is our race leader then, Max Bianchi, who, bear in mind, was right at the back of the grid at the start of this race, and he's now leading it. Now, of course, a lot of cars have been in the pit lane. Another car there with no rear panel on at all.
It's one of the, I want to say one of the Russian cars, the SMP.
That was one of the SMP cars, you're right, but there is our race leader, Bianchi. Max Bianchi then, who's out there on his own, as he's got a gap of some 23 seconds over our P2 driver, Alex Martin. Then there's another 6 seconds back to Rizzuto, who is in P3.
And it appears that the track has dried up significantly.
Raphael Giannoni, we just saw there. There is Raphael Giannoni.
I'd like to see what it is on the way down to Indianapolis, because that's really where it stays wettest longest, starting from Mulsanne down to Indianapolis.
Now, what you've got to remember is that you know, everyone has to take this mandatory pit stop, and it has to be taken between. The pit window opened 10 minutes, and it will close at 35 minutes. And Bianchi's struggling there a bit, and what is that that's hanging off the back of that car? It looks like an underneath panel, Howard.
That's exactly what it is. And you can see it flopping underneath a little bit. Obviously, it's had some contact somewhere, whether it was just with the gravel pit or I don't think it was another car. And that's certainly going to destabilize it. It helps the airflow through the back of the car. It helps some of the downforce. And it's not going to be easy for him to continue driving with that thing flopping about.
So they're going through is Rizzuto then, who's dropping down the order. Rizzuto with a problem there. We can see him being overtaken at will here.
And he's being very polite and sending people through and not trying to hold the line.
The 1-2-4 car then with a problem. So let's recap the order here. Bianchi, Martin, then Vincenzo Sauto is up now to P3. Enzo Sauto, P3. Rizzuto is P4. Just saw Marcel Bertuzza dive into the pits in car 110. As we see one round there, Howard.
I couldn't see who it was.
No, me neither. Sadly, the camera didn't stick with us long enough for us to be able to identify who that car was.
You can see pieces are coming off of the bottom of his car at the moment.
Yeah, now
it's all the bottom plate.
Right. So the structure that we saw flapping about is an integral part of holding the rest together, presumably, and that's made it all loose.
And I tend to think so. I'm also concerned if there's a piece that's going to get underneath his back tire, because there's a piece just in front of the back tire.
You can actually see from that camera shot, you're right, there's really, really low down there and close to the tire, isn't it?
And if that breaks, that piece is going to fall off, but there's another piece just in front of his left rear.
Yeah. And
if he rolls over it, it's possible that he'll get a slow puncture or a fast puncture.
Okay, well, we're watching our...
He's trying hard.
Yeah, he is. And that, look how he's trying to wrestle this car in control. Good replay there as he was trying to hold it all together. Whilst all this is, well, unfolding, we have got 24 minutes remaining in this race. So Bianchi then with a 21 second, no, it's come down now to just 19-second advantage. And he is being overtaken now, isn't he? There's Eric Prinot, who is much, much further down the order, overtaking him. So he's got a problem now, Bianchi.
Absolutely.
And he's got to get that car back now. You know, he's going to have to bring this car back for a mandatory pit stop anyway, but what are they going to be able to do that presumably just rip away those parts that are flailing?
In all honesty, I'm not certain. He's certainly going to have to come in. It's also possible that the race director is going to ask him to go in, because that's Giannoni, isn't it?
No, that's Stefano Guy, and alongside Stefano Guy there is Chukhanov. Chukhanov back out, of course, having done his mandatory pit stop. So it is now the battle for 12th position that's on track that we're watching between Chukhanov and Stefano Guy. Stefano Guy by far and away was the quickest in quali.
No, they'll rip off the plate that's under his car.
Yep. And that was an off there for that's Stovacek. But Stovacek has got it going again and hasn't caused any problems either. So there is Stefano Guy with Sergei Chukhanov. Sergei Chukhanov, who led momentarily with his battle with Jeff Segal. Holger Langer, another one of the drivers that I spoke to just before making my way down to the comms booth here. Now, interesting, looking down at the timing screen, Howard, we saw Jeff Segal, and there seemed to be no urgency with the Jeff Segal car, did there? He's still out and still running P17 at the moment for Jeff Segal. As Chukhanov now lines up Stefano Guy in his target sights, and is he going to be able to do anything here? Stefano Guy, very, very experienced racer, and looks like there's a problem with the door on Chukhanov's car.
It seems like the window has bent out a little bit, I think, and that certainly doesn't help his aerodynamics, and it certainly doesn't help the noise in the car.
No. So you just see if you can see this.
Little pieces of track.
And he's right alongside. And Guy and Chukhanov, well, absolutely. I was going to say they didn't touch, don't touch, but they're very close now. This is a drag race between these two, between Stefano Guy in the white car and Sergei Chukhanov in the blue and yellow machine, absolutely side by side. There's not an inch between them, Howard.
Not at all, but Sergei's going to take him. It's, he's let off a little bit. Let's see where it goes, push curves.
So this is absolutely fantastic in the Ferrari Challenge. You're dead right, Howard. Sergei Chukhanov goes through against Stefano Guy. Well, that was a long time coming for Sergei Chukhanov. He lined that up, didn't he? He really set that to overtake up much, much sooner. Oh, and now he's lost it. Now, here's a replay of that overtake move, but just as we lost that shot from Arnage, it looked like Chukhanov had pushed too hard, and indeed he has, because Stefano Guy has wrestled that place back, and as they come past our comms booth window, Stefano Guy, fighting with that car for all his worth, has been able to pull that place back.
Stefano he understands that he needs to stay out in front, he needs to keep pushing, and he's got to keep a reasonable distance between him and Sergei. Otherwise, Sergei's going to try. Can't pass through the door, he'll try and pass through the window.
Alex Martin. Alex Martin is now leading this race. There he is, our race leader in the black and chrome livery Dextra car. As we see Alexis Di Bernardi out, but here is our Stratstone Ferrari race leader. It is Alex Martin then, the UK driver, who's also got a problem with his door, but that's the passenger side door. So Alex Martin then in the LED extra car then, he dived into the pits from the formation lap to change from wet weather tyres onto slicks. And at the moment, you have to say, with him leading this race, it was an inspired choice.
Absolutely. Risky, but inspired.
So there is Stefano Guy then, who is in front of Chukhanov now, despite Chukhanov doing his best. And that's where Chukhanov went off and went wide, and that was how Stefano was able to get back and wrestle that place back. But they've been fighting for lap after. It's been absolutely brilliant to watch.
Great racing. Chekhov went off. Where he went off, he went very wide, because there are these grooves.
Yeah.
That will just destroy, absolutely destroy the suspension of the car.
Now there's the Danielle and Renato D'Amato car as our race leader goes past. Now that looks, is that just a puncture there on the...
Puncture, I think, in the right rear.
I thought it was one of the fronts, but you might be right.
We need a bigger screen in here.
I think either you or I need glasses, probably me more than you. Right, Alex Martin leads this race then. There's Chukhanov and Guy once again now. They're in P8 and P9 at the moment. We've got Martin Studenik. Then it's Jacques Diver, another Stratstone driver in P3. Lorenzo Casse then will be taking part in the 24-hour races up to P4. Oh, and Stefano Guy loses it. He has lost it. He's spun there. Oh, my goodness me.
That was dangerous. That was dangerous.
He pulled that car out right in front. So, under braking, got a bit of a whale tail on, didn't it? And then he was just not able to hold it. Not touched at all by Chukhanov. Just backs into the barrier there, but then his recovery as he pulled out was, wow.
It's a difficult position because the other drivers coming down don't see. They can't see where he was.
No,
and they couldn't see them coming either, for that matter.
So Chukhanov there, P8. And there's the, well, what was our race leading car right at the start of this race, where we have, 17 minutes left to run. Philippe Barron, the Octane 126 driver. Be fascinated to find out what the problem with that car was. But here's Guy going round once again. Bit of a jolt there, wasn't it, as he backed into that barrier?
Exactly. I don't expect that there was any damage to the car, but I mean,
right.
Some lights, but
now Alex Martin is leading. He's had a stop. Our second place driver hasn't. So Studenik. Just confused by our timing screen here, which appears to have a mind of its own at the moment. Right, there is Chukhanov then. And we saw Stefano Guy go spin around, and then I think he pulled out right in front of Enzo Sauter. I think it was Vincenzo Sauter that he pulled out right in front of. In now is that's Hrubesch. The driver change between Klaus and Boris. So there is Alex Martin, and there now is Chukhanov. So Giacomo Strata's stricken car in the pit lane, trying to get a measure of this, because I think the real race is going to be now between Alex Martin, who took that inspired stop early on, and Chukhanov, because the drivers in front, as being shown on our timing screen at the moment, presumably have not had their pit stops. So at last we get to the bottom of the in its own world timing screen, as we see Takak and Studenik there. So it is the Ferrari Challenge. We've got under 15 minutes left to run in this race here at Le Mans.
And when does the pit lane close?
Was it
10 minutes?
Yeah, 15.
So another 4 minutes left, like 4.5 minutes?
There's it's between 10 and 35 minutes duration
so
into the race.
Another 4.5 minutes that the window's going to be open.
There's a dive up.
Just watching out the window, the people in this rubber band ball going up in the air. I don't know how they do that.
No, bonkers. Right, Ferrari Challenge here at Le Mans. So in car 6-0 then, Jacques Diver, the Stratstone Ferrari driver, who at the moment is showing in P2. Studenik then is P1. Lorenzo Cassé P3, and there out is Eric Chung, and also out is Rupert Martin. Alex Martin's father, Rupert Martin, is off.
Yeah, a bit of a fender bender.
Yep. So Eric and Rupert having a coming together there. Looks like Eric should potentially be able to recover from that. Don't know. I think I saw some steam coming out of the Rupert Martin car.
And the interesting thing is, at the moment, the difference between Martin and Chukhanov is 0.2 of a second.
Also interesting is the fastest lap Segal has set now, a 4:05.134. So Studenik and Diver into the pit now. That's going to elevate Lorenzo Cassé into the lead, with Mahi in P2. As we see Lorenzo Cassé has just dived into the pits. So Mahi is going to do the same. And these are all drivers getting their pit stop in before the window closes. The mandatory 60-second pit stop, which is reaching the end of the opportunity for them to do that. And with such a long lap, Howard, you can't just get another lap in before you take your pit stop, can you? You know, it's just impossible. You've got to do it. So that now elevates Bianchi into the lead with Chukhanov second and Martin third.
Chukhanov, I think, is 5 seconds behind them.
So there is Cassé then, Lorenzo Cassé. Didn't race in Bruno, but is still second in the TropheoPirelli points and will be taking part in the 24-hour race to come a little bit later today here at Le Mans. Now, Cassé sharing the car with Paolo Scudieri. So, Paolo Scudieri, who's raced in the Trofeo Abarth Italia. And he's going to be in the 458 Challenge in just a mo. So, right, now that the pit stop window is reaching its conclusion, we get a proper order. And that is Max Bianchi, Sergei Chukhanov, and Alex Martin. And what it does do, it vindicates the decision that the likes of Bianchi and Martin made in terms of coming in off that formation lap to do an early change onto slick tyres. They were able to do significantly faster times. And that has paid absolute dividends for them. What an inspired move. So it's Bianchi from Chukhanov from Martin. There is our race leader then.
And I'm surprised that
Bianchi leads from the blue and yellow Chukhanov car in P2. Then it is the Stratstone Ferrari, Dextra Alex Martin, who is P3. Lorenzo Cassé just saw in shot there. Oh, and there is a problem for Bianchi. Bianchi has got a problem. So that means that Chukhanov now leads. Alex Martin is going to be into second place because there's bits of debris coming off. Oh, it's a puncture, isn't it?
It's a puncture, that's it.
And that has destroyed the left-hand front end of that car. So now it's all change. We've got 10 minutes left to run, and it's going to be Chukhanov that leads from Alex Martin. So a problem for Bianchi. He has to retire that car, and here is our race leader now. The flapping driver's door window doesn't seem to be bothering him. Sergei Chukhanov from Team Ukraine leads. It's Ukraine P1, it's UK P2, and then in P3 it's Benedetto Marti.
Oh, that's fantastic for Benedetto.
Looks like literally diving off there. Oh, just avoiding that tyre wall. So Chukhanov then, the Team Ukraine driver that started P2 on the grid, leads the race. The gap back to Alex Martin now, 5.448. So Chukhanov leads from Alex Martin. Benedetto Marti then a brilliant showing from Vincenzo Sauto, who is in P4. Von Skeltermar P5. Jeff Segal is back out, but P6. Now, what we've got here is Chukhanov, Martin and Marti, the top three on the track, all TropheoPirelli drivers. But then we get Vincenzo Sauto and Von Skeltermar in Ps 4 and 5, Copa Shell drivers. Absolutely brilliant racing from the Ferrari Challenge.
And I'm really surprised because Fonz's car, we saw, had a bit of a problem in the back.
So there is Alex Martin then, who is P2 at the moment. Very nearly 5.5 seconds up the road from him is our race leader, Sergei Chukhanov.
And 7 seconds behind him is the doctor, Benedetto Marti.
So we just see from our window Sergei Chukhanov go through. Now to Alex Martin that you're seeing on screen in front of you, the Dextra car. And there is that gap. With that camera shot, we can see that is the gap between P1 and P2.
And 5 seconds is a lot. And actually, it's now up to almost 7 seconds.
Yes. So Chukhanov is not...
I don't think he's going to be challenged. There's basically 2 laps left of the race.
Yeah.
So the question is, would you want to challenge, try to get 7 seconds on 2 laps? That's
a big ask, isn't it?
It's an awful lot.
That's a big ask. I'm no racing driver, as well you know, but there is Enzo Sauto then, who is P4. This is absolutely brilliant. And Sigal is P5, Skeltermar is P6. So there is Vincenzo Sauto. So the gap between Chukhanov and Sauto then is some 20 seconds. As Sauto there goes past a back-marking car. The back-marking car there of, I think that was Oliver Mayer. Might have been Holger Langer, to be fair. But Chukhanov leads this race then. Started from the front row of the grid, but there is Vincenzo Sauto, who's the highest placed Copa Shell driver. The P's 1, 2 and 3 then all with TropheoPirelli drivers. Now we've got some time penalties to be added. So there you can see there in graphics, time penalty to be added to Alex Martin.
30 seconds.
Time penalty to be added to Marcus Mayhe. Time penalty to be added to Jacques Diver. Also to Hrubeck as well. Also in there is Studenek. He's going to get a time penalty. So too is Sauto, and so too is von Skeltermar.
And 30 seconds is a lot.
So that is going to, just trying to work it out here, that's going to put Alex Martin back down into probably P6, I think. Perhaps even P7. So then that information then, time penalties being issued once again to Alex Martin, to Marcus Mayhe, Jacques Diver, also to Klaus Hrubeck, to Patrick Takak, Vincenzo Sauto, and von Skeltermar, all getting time penalties.
And do we know why?
Well, at the moment, that isn't being made clear to us. So that is going to change the shape of this race, isn't it? So we have 5 minutes exactly remaining in this race. Von Skeltermar, P6, Alexis Di Bernardi, P7, and there, retiring that car is Stefano Guy. Such high hopes for this race for Stefano Guy. We saw him take a spin a while ago, and that looks like an absolute retirement for that car, Howard Blank.
Absolutely, he's coming out. Again, we don't know the reason why. It might have been, we don't know if it was the spin that created the problem, or the problem that created the spin.
The spin, yeah. So Chukhanov then is leading this, and Chukhanov certainly is not one of those cars that has got a penalty. So this man, with the, what have we got, 4 and a bit minutes that's remaining, Sergei Chukhanov. Going to be an interesting podium, isn't it?
It's going to be an interesting podium. It's going to be an interesting podium to figure out who's actually going to be up on top.
Well,
he's going to be there, that's for certain, unless he does something silly. He's coming across the start-finish line now, so this is definitely his last lap. Last lap of the race.
So Sergei Chukhanov.
And he's got a reasonable gap, especially because Martin has a penalty. So he's got a 20-second 20-second lead over Marty. So he can take it reasonably easy on this last lap, which he probably won't, because racing drivers usually don't.
No. Oh, Vincenzo Sauto. Whoa. That car took off there and well, it vaulted the gravel track, Howard.
The gravel tracks here are actually interesting. They tend to be consolidated, so they don't pick up a lot in the car, and they don't put a lot on the track either. But they tend to be a bit hard. If you land on them a bit too fast, you do bounce over them.
So there is Sergei Chukhanov then, as we see from our window. Andrei Lebeda, fellow Ferrari Ukrainer driver, go through to start what will be his final lap.
I think they've added the times on.
I think they have.
So we've got Marty in second and Segal in third place.
So Sergei Chukhanov then, well, no mistaking the drive that he's made around this Le Mans circuit for the Ferrari Challenge Round 3 here in France. Up next, Portugal, as we go off to the Portimao circuit. But for now, it's who's going to be the victor in the Ferrari Challenge for Le Mans. And it's looking ever likely, barring some disaster, that Sergei Chukhanov is going to be the one that is going to take the win from P2 on the grid. Sergei Chukhanov, what a fantastic drive that he's undertaken.
Absolutely superb drive.
Yep.
Absolutely superb. And he fought hard.
Yes.
The whole way, all 45 minutes.
So we see his car. There is Sergei Chukhanov then. So I mentioned lots of single-seater experience, lots of karting before the single-seaters, but what a race he has had, and what a race it's well turned out to be in terms of incident, and absolutely remarkable.
He's all on his own. He can get out of the car whenever he wants. The window's open.
So 1 minute remains in this Ferrari Challenge race.
There's Indianapolis. Right hand onto LeMans.
That is where we saw the Stefano guy spin.
Correct.
Just there. But Sergei Chukhanov is heading for home. There is the Stefano guy that we were talking about, that we saw that car spinning just off the back of the Arnage corner. No such disaster for this man, Sergei Chukhanov.
Entering the Porsche curves.
With 30 seconds left on the clock for this race to run, the Ferrari Challenge here at Le Mans. Sergei Chukhanov then for Ferrari Team Ukraine is going to be bringing this car home and heading for the checkered flag. And what a momentous victory this is going to be for one of the hard-working teams in the paddock of the Ferrari Challenge. Always good-natured, always full of fun and laughter. And when it matters most, the driver out there on track delivers. As he goes through the final turn now and heads up towards the checkered flag to take the win here at Le Mans for the Ferrari Challenge. It is Sergei Chukhanov. He flashes his lights as the checkered flag is in sight.
He's a happy little camper.
Absolutely brilliant stuff from Sergei Chukhanov. Now, Alex Martin crosses the line on track P2, but time penalty to be added. Then it's Benedetto Marti, then it's Jeff Segal. And here comes Vincenzo Sauter, another one with a time penalty to be added. So the order is going to be Chukhanov, Benedetto Marti, then Jeff Segal, with Alex Martin taking P4.
That's a pity for Alex.
Yes, it is. Just missing out on a podium. Then it's going to be Sauto, Skeltermar, Slobin, and Adamski. So the Ferrari Challenge then, what a race here at Le Mans. Absolutely remarkable. And there is Sergei Chukhanov then flashing his lights in delight at having taken this momentous victory here at Le Mans. As we watch Andrei Lebed now, fellow team member in car number 119. There is Dirk Adamski with his hand out of the window, cooling himself down. So Dirk will have enjoyed his time in the Ferrari Challenge here at Le Mans.
So what have we then? We've got Chukhanov, we've got Marti, we've got Segal in Pirelli.
In Pirelli.
And in Shell we've got Sauto, Skeltermar.
Well, I think Slobin will eclipse Sauto and Skeltermar because of the penalties, because I don't think... Oh, no, I beg your pardon, because Slobin, of course, is not...
Slobin's Pirelli.
Slobin is Pirelli.
So
it might be Adamski, and that will be why Adamski is looking so happy out there. So Dirk Adamski will take Copa-Shell with Sauto, then Skeltermar. Big wave there. So yes, that's why Dirk Adamski looks so delighted, because effectively with the time penalty. Oh! And just out of our window, we've not got it on screen. A big coming together, which hopefully we'll get a replay of that in just a moment. Just see the back end of that as Roger Eder just comes off, but that was just in the final turn. A huge coming together, which we heard before we saw it, to be honest, and here it is. And that was a bold move by Eric Prinot there.
And it really wasn't necessary.
No.
It really wasn't.
So that was a shame, but we saw that before we heard it out of our comms booth, and luckily quick on the replays there as our race leader Sergei Chukhanov then heads for home, having taken the win. And it's going to be Dirk Adamski then that takes the Copa-Shell, but the TropheoPirelli winner Sergei Chukhanov started from P2 on the grid, and he's on his way back now.
That's another 5 minutes or so.
Yes,
it's a long track.
Yes, it is.
But sitting in the car and knowing that that you're coming first, I mean, it's a great time to savor.
It must be absolutely phenomenal feeling. It really must. So Chukhanov there with Benedetto Marti alongside him there. So Marti also having had a fantastic race.
Very well thought out, very well driven from both drivers, all three drivers.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the highlights then from what was an incredible race, the Ferrari Challenge here at Monza. Sorry, at Le Mans.
And we're back with you live here at the Le Mans circuit, just having finished the Ferrari Challenge race. An absolutely fantastic race. A lot of strategy going on, a lot of water, a lot of great driving, some small accidents, but there's going to be a great podium, and there's a lot of happy people out there. Bringing the cars back into the Bac Fermé at the moment. The winners are out front, and they're doing an absolute great job.
So podium ceremony then about to get underway, and Howard Blank, having had podium here at Le Mans, what is a driver going to feel like?
Let's put it this: you, in principle, would feel absolutely fantastic. The only problem was 2 years ago when we did it, they only took the three top drivers, the absolute, and me and the rest of the drivers in the 430 category. We didn't get a podium here. They gave it to us later at Spa.
Well, there is the classification.
Something Martin, maybe they were interesting.
That is interesting because of the penalties that were going to be applied.
They seem to have they been protested?
Well, possibly.
Won?
Perhaps appeals have been put in.
Exactly.
Perhaps appeals have been put in. So, well, we'll see when we get up to the podium who's going to be up there. Eric Prenot we saw with a daredevil move right at the end of the race, which was
silly.
That was a shame to see right at the end of the race, wasn't it?
It really wasn't necessary. It wasn't that they were fighting for big points. It wasn't that they were fighting for big position. And it was just in front of the start-finish line.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it's just...
It's a pity.
Well, we know we're going to see Sergei Chuganov on the top step of the podium.
Now it's a question if Martin's going to be there or Siegel's going to be there.
Yeah,
and,
quite.
Okay, for Benedetto, it makes a difference from second or third.
Yeah. Well, we will see.
So Skeltoma's car's there.
Yeah.
On the line.
Yeah. So we see Martin's car being moved out now. So I wonder if that's telling, Howard.
Distinctly possible, but let's see where it goes.
So a great shot here, and well, I don't know whether being in race comms with me is ideal preparation for a competitor for the Le Mans 24-hour race, Howard Blank, but that's what you've got to look forward to a little bit later this afternoon.
A little bit later this afternoon. It's, I must say...
Do you know what stint you're doing yet?
The last I heard, and that changes regularly,
yes,
is I'm doing the second stint. But as I said, it changes. It depends on weather, depends on safety cars, depends on how, I don't want to say how everybody's feeling. It's certain that Yannick Malégol is taking
I was going to say, what we must do is mention your teammates, who are another former Ferrari Challenge drivers, Yannick Malégol and Jean-Marc Bachelier.
And I must say that these are two guys who I absolutely love. It's great being in a team with them. It's a pleasure. There's the pleasure of driving, there's the pleasure of racing, but there's the pleasure of both those individuals who are extremely different from one another.
Yes, they are. And we had the delight of having lunch with the team yesterday with Yannick and Jean-Marc and indeed Howard, and we had a great time. And they're lovely, lovely people as we take a look there at the pit lane here at Le Mans, the calm before the storm, it has to be said.
Please don't talk about storms.
No, okay, sorry. Before the start of the 24-hour race. And have I mentioned about my bad knee? No, I haven't. I promised I wouldn't do that on the air. Sergei Chuganov is going to be the winner then, and we're going to see him up on the podium very, very soon. It has to be said, I still think it might be a little bit of a surprise as to who else we see up on the podium because of the penalties the time penalties that were being applied. As we see once again the highlights of the race. So,
and that might be part of the reason why there seems to be a bit of delay on the podium, because I know the ACO is very time conscious, very television conscious, and there's a strict schedule, and if things are being held up, it's because there's obviously some questions which are being posed at the moment.
So there we see Philip Barron then, who made a fantastic start, didn't he? And actually, all in the end was to count to 0 for him.
Unfortunately, he had an absolutely fantastic start, and he built up a wonderful lead. And that's what racing is all about. That's part of the difference between the Challenge Series, which is sprints, obviously. That's a great shot. That's the car's heading down.
Dario Carzo, look at that. That's the car that's just got through. And that was good to see. Okay, let's go up onto the podium now. I know not who we're going to get, but we're going to enjoy it for sure. So it's Jimmy Bruni up there as pit lane reporter. Brilliant, with Dirk Adamski I can see there, and also Sergei Chukhanov.
Ciao, buongiorno, buona giornata a tutti amici di Sky e del Ferrari Challenge. Hi to everyone of Sky and Ferrari.
I was going to say we'll be hearing this in Italian and English. At the moment, can't hear anything. So, Jimmy Bruni then, with Dirk Adamski there and Sergei Chukhanov.
So how was for you the race? You did a fantastic drive.
And for whatever reason,
I can't read lips, so I'm sorry.
We have no audio.
Because you overtook great drivers, more experience than you.
So there he is talking to
in English.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
I can hear the Italian translation just next door.
Now I'm here and I win. I'm really happy.
We have no audio of this, which is a great shame.
So I'm just push lap by lap. Thanks
I was
very much
talking
to
about,
the team.
I can hear from the Italians that he's talking about the choice of the tires, and which is what enabled them to do what they were doing.
You will remember this victory because Le Mans is Le Mans.
Yes,
especially this podium.
You're going to remember this victory at Le Mans.
Yeah.
Well done, really well done.
So there we can see.
Congratulations.
We are here now with
now on to the second driver.
With the Shell victory.
Copa Shell winner. So, that's Dirk Adamski.
I did also a great race. We follow you also. I think you must be happy because it's a great circuit. And I'm a bit of jealous of you because you're already on this podium. I hope to be here tomorrow afternoon. And tell me, how was your race?
The race was difficult at the beginning because we went out with wet tires. It was the wrong choice. I mean, basically the car was not drivable. You couldn't drive. Then we waited for the pit window to open, and then we changed tires, and then it was okay. Car was perfect.
Went into the pit to change.
Fantastic to drive here. No more rain.
Fantastic.
So it was relaxing.
No rain.
So I will start with slick tires. You give me advice.
Surprising. I don't know how he could say that.
I would start with slick. Yeah, depending on weather, if the weather changing. But it dries very fast.
Thank you. Well done, really.
The weather changed, he said, and the track dried quickly.
Sicuramente
thanks very much to Jimmy Bruni for bringing us that. Bigger thanks to Howard Blank, who was able to eavesdrop on our friends from Italian TV. We were able to actually get the audio from that by Howard Blank Translation Services Limited.
I want you to know it went from English to Italian and back to English again.
Absolutely brilliant. So Bruni himself, of course, he's got a big job on this afternoon, Howard.
Yeah, we both need to go out and get our pictures taken, actually.
Well, listen, you go whenever you need to, because been absolutely delighted that you've been with us. Well, Alex Martin is on the podium.
Yep.
So I can only guess that an appeal has been made. So there is Chukhanov, there's Alex Martin, and there's Benedetto Marti.
Benedetto's got to be a really happy guy. He would have been happier in second place, but, you know.
And national anthem. So national anthem done and dusted then for Sergei Chukhanov then, who takes the win here at Le Mans for the Ferrari Challenge. Alex Martin up on the podium as well for P2. First of all, though, receiving the trophy, Benedetto Marti. Pierre Fillon, the president of the ACO, making the trophy presentations. And Sergei Chukhanov then taking the win. And then the Pirelli trophy also. Up next for the Ferrari Challenge, we're off to the Portimao circuit. 20th, 21st of July. As Chukhanov breaks open the champagne then. Battle between Alex Martin and Chukhanov on the podium then for the Champers. A race full of drama and spectacle and incident, as you would expect always from the Ferrari Challenge, as the teams down there look on at their drivers up there on the podium. More information at Ferrari.com on the Ferrari Challenge. I do urge you to check out what's a fantastic series, the Ferrari Challenge. Check it out online. So the drivers make their way off the podium with the big wheel as a backdrop and a packed pit lane here at Le Mans. And in the Copa Shell, we saw Jimmy Bruni talking to Dirk Adamski, and presumably we were made aware of penalties that were going to be added to drivers' times, but doesn't seem to be reflected at the moment, because in the Copa Shell it's going to be Dirk Adamski, then it will be Vincenzo Sauto, and then von Skeltermar taking the 1, 2, 3 in the Copa Shell podium. We assume there's been some confusion over that, because some drivers will drop down the order because the time penalties were added into their time, but they've been subtracted now as we look at the Copa Shell podium that is about to get underway. There is von Skeltermar, there is Vincenzo Sauto, and, well, it's going to be this man, the German Dirk Adamski, that stands atop of the Copa Shell podium. So Dirk Adamski then takes the top step of the podium with Vincenzo Sauto P2 and von Skeltermar P3. Adamski in the Copa Shell podium. So Dirk Adamski, then Vincenzo Sauto and von Skeltermar. Von's closest to our camera here, the Cassel Racing driver. One with the familiar shark's teeth at the front of the car. Here's the national anthem. So the national anthem plays out then for Dirk Adamski, who takes the Copa-Shell win for the Autohaus Saggio team, the German driver Dirk Adamski. P2 is Vincenzo Sauto. P3 that's now being presented with his trophy is von Scheltemar. There is Vincenzo Sauto having his trophy presented by the president of the ACO here. So as the guys move in then for the photograph. And von Scheltemar there, closest to our camera, absolutely delighted. So too Dirk Adamski and so too Vincenzo Sauto. Absolutely brilliant stuff from our Copa-Shell drivers, who are now going to get a soaking as well. And, well, Sauto it is then that leads the champagne shower. Fons and Dirk in the mix as well. Dirk trying to protect himself with his baseball cap. So there we are, fantastic stuff from the Copa-Shell drivers. Bear in mind that for this race and this race only, the TropheoPirelli and the Copa-Shell drivers all mixed in together for this one race at LeMans. Up next, well, the Ferrari Challenge takes to the Portimao circuit. There it is, 20th, 21st of July, Portimao then. corsaclienti.ferrari.com is the place for you to find out all the information that you would like to know about the Ferrari Challenge. But until the sunshine, we hope, of Portimao from Le Mans here in France, from the Ferrari Challenge, we hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. Bye-bye.